find out. Marv Carson's Norm McDonald high above Joe Albee Stadium in Spokane. Pleased to be with you tonight for the playoff game between the Greater Spokane League champion, Shadle Park Highlanders, finishing the season 8-1, their only loss, an early season loss to University, and to the Big Nine Conference second place team, tied for second. And by virtue of their win over Richland, the number 2 representative from the Big Nine Conference to Spokane, or to the playoffs, the Kennewick Lions, our very own Kennewick Lions. Real rapidly, since I don't know how much time we have left before the game starts, let me run through tentatively the offensive lineups for both teams. Shadle Park Highlanders at an end, Kent Schaefer, 6'3", 185 senior. Split end will be Todd Toro, 5'7", 160-pound senior. The tackles for Shadle Park, Neil Knipe, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, 6'4", 215, a junior. Craig Croston, the other one, 6'2", 200 pounds, he's a senior. A couple of big tackles, 215 and 200 for Shadle Park. The guards, Pete Precages, 6'1", 185, a senior, and Gary DeShane, 6 feet even, 185, a senior. Center of the Shadle Park line, anchored by Vince Kopeck, 6 feet, 190, pardon me, 6 feet, 195, a senior. In the backfield, fullback is Dan Fuller, 6'1", 185, a junior. Jim Bell is the halfback, he's 5'8", 160, a senior. Flanker, Steve Rector, 5'6", 155, a senior. And guiding the Shadle Park offense, the man who rewrote the Spokane League passing records, and he's only a junior. The quarterback, Mark Rippon, 6'3", 185, and he's a junior. Norm, the kid is not small. Not a 6'3", 185. 6'3", 185, and he's got 3-4 years to grow yet. That's offensive for Shadle Park. Now rapidly for the Lions. On offense, the names you're familiar with. Mark Pickle, 6'3", 170-pound senior, and Gordy Hudson, Mark the split end. Gordy Hudson, the tight end, number 8, 6'3", 200, a senior, and the favorite target for Scott Conley when Scott has passed. Ed Pacheco is at flanker, 5'8", 155, he's a senior. And across the line for the Lions, the tackles, 215, 6'1", a senior, Joe Miller, 6 feet even, 200 pounds, a senior, Bob Simon. The guards, Rob Brown, 5'8", 185, a senior, Bob Ward, 5'11", 185, a senior. And where he's been all year long, the center, Kevin O'Neill, 6'1", 185, a junior. Names you're familiar with in the backfield for the Lions, 860-some yards in ground yardage this year. The fullback, number 33, Dennis Banker, 5'9", 190, he's a senior. And the man who rushed for 1,200 yards last year and has rushed for 1,200 yards this year, number 22, Neil Palmer, 6 feet, 185 even, he's a senior. And where he's been since the second game of the season when John Foreman was injured, except for one brief moment in last week's game, or 2 weeks ago, at quarterback for the Lions, 5'10", 170, a junior, Scott Conley, number 11. That's offense for both the Shadle Park Highlanders and for the Kennewick Lions. We'll be back with the opening kickoff after this 30-second timeout.
Gilberto's Pizza, located at 3300 West Clearwater in Kennewick, has all the varieties of delicious pizzas for all tastes in the Tri-Cities. Centrally located in Kennewick, you can bet there's nothing so near that's nearly so good as a Gilberto's Pizza. You've been enjoying the quality for 9 years. The name has changed, but the owners and great service remain the same. There's nothing so near that's still so good.
Back live at Joe Albee Stadium in Spokane. Marv Carson's Norm McDonald were set for the opener of tonight's playoff game between the Shadle Park Highlanders and Kennewick Lions. Kennewick won the toss, or Kennewick, I should say, lost the toss. Shadle Park 1 will elect to receive. They'll be traveling from, Shadle Park will be running the ball from our right to our left, or from the south to the north end of the stadium. Kennewick will be kicking from left to right, from north to south, and will defend the north goal. It looks like a whole bunch of Shadle Park football players. Norm, you counted 49? Yeah, 49. In uniform for Shadle Park tonight. I think they want to put on a show of strength.
Well, Kennewick didn't do much work.
They had over 48 and a half. Did they have over 50?
Yeah, they
did suit up over 50 for the game today. This is a nice night for football, and that's a dandy Kennewick crowd out there. Look at the people over on the far side of the
Kennewick band is here, cheerleaders are here, the whole
whole lot of people from Kennewick are here. We were passed by probably no exaggeration, 40 cars from Benton County or with Benton County plates on the way up here this afternoon. So there's a good contingent of Kennewick rooters here in Joe Albi, and there's a good solid group of Shadle Park people here too. Of course, they don't have to travel for 3 hours to get here, which might make some difference. What happened when the lights went out?
I don't know. They had apparently a power failure, and every light in the stadium went out except for the scoreboard and the lights inside the press box.
It was a little
have one bank of lights out. They have one on that side and one on this side, all the way across the line. They still have a bank out, so play in semi-darkness.
Okay, we had some small technical problems of our own trying to get the line established. And it finally, I guess, happened during the Star-Spangled Banner, didn't it?
Yes.
And that's about the time the lights went out, was during the Star-Spangled Banner.
I think the GTE and the electric company have a conspiracy going.
I suppose I should probably mention that the Shadle Park Highlanders are coached by Bob Haney. And folks from the Kennewick area will remember Bob Haney as a former assistant coach, I think, at Kennewick High several years ago. Somebody told me that, and I believe them. I'm going to believe them. We're looking for a wide-open football game on the part of Shadle Park tonight. As I said just a little bit earlier, Mark Rippon, the Shadle Park quarterback, has virtually rewritten the entire record books at Kennewick High, or at Shadle Park for the Greater Spokane League. He has passed this year for over 1,900 yards. This year alone has passed for over 1,900 yards and 19 touchdowns. And I watched a couple of film clips on him the other night, Norm, and he passes a whole lot to his flanker and to his backs coming out of the backfield. Nothing long, nothing fancy, a lot of short, high percentage passes, but 8, 10, 12 yards at a crack. And that's the kind that really can make that defensive secondary have second glances. Let's look at the Kennewick defensive secondary. The guys who will be defending against Rippon's pass tonight in the interior linebacking slots, two of the best in the Big 9 Conference, and I would say probably two of the best in high school football in the state of Washington, Joey Christensen and Tim Utek. And those two gentlemen, both interior linebackers, have had a fine season defensively for the Lions. The outside linebackers, Jeff Webb, John Studer, we frankly haven't had to see them defend much against the pass this year.
No, we haven't.
We're going to see what happens tonight, because I think they're going to have their hands full. A lot of Rippon's passes do go to the flat or to the outside areas. Cornerbacks, Joe Wilson, Dave Larimer, two solid men there. Randy Reynolds, Cal Lovell at safety. There's nothing wrong with that defensive secondary. Like I said, the only question mark I have is we haven't seen Jeff Webb and John Studer have to do much against the pass this year. We'll see what happens tonight. And of course, a very solid line defensively for the Lions. Rob O'Donohue, Marty Ellis, and Chip Mugley across the front line. So it'll be, I think, probably Rippon's arm against Tim Utek, Joey Christensen, John Studer, and Jeff Webb.
Yeah, it's like Coach Troxell said in some commentaries that he made last week, that he doesn't expect to stop the passing game of Shadle Park. He just hopes to slow it down a little bit. He encouraged his boys and told them that, hey, the guy's going to complete some passes, and there's not going to be anything you can do about that. We just want to stop him from, every time he completes a pass, to scoring a touchdown.
Get a good gainer out of it, right?
So this is what we'll be watching for Kennewick, because they played good, tight pass defense game all season, and I don't expect it'll be much different now. One thing that they will need that they haven't had expressly in the last 3 or 4 games is a good pass rush.
Yep.
And so we're going to be watching for that, and I'm sure Coach Troxell has made some adjustments for that during the last couple of weeks. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when things get started here. We'll be back to Joe Albi Stadium in 60 seconds.
The time has come to leave this doomed house. I can remember when Jim and I were first married. We couldn't afford a mansion, but we wanted our first home to be something really special. I can remember the first time we ever went into Baumgartner Realtors in Kennewick to inquire about new homes. We were so nervous, but the Baumgartner representative was so woman-friendly and showed us more homes. Then we found this one. It was love at first sight. Of course, we knew nothing about buying a house, so she took us by the hand, helped with financing, the works. She even bought us a housewarming present. And then before we knew it, we had a family and had to look for a bigger home. Of course, we went to Baumgartner. It seemed like no time before they found us a new home and found a very nice couple for this old friend. Baumgartner Realtors, the best friends we've ever had. At 7514 West Yellowstone Avenue in Kennewick.
This is KO2I Kennewick.
Back at Joe Albee Stadium in Spokane, Marv Karstens, Norm McDonald. We were anticipating a kickoff, and that the Lions went out and teed the ball up, lined up. Shadle Park went out and lined up, ready to receive. And then for reasons...
Well, I think probably they're still waiting to get the extra bank of light.
I wonder if that isn't it.
Some of them have come on faintly,
some of them
so everybody's having technical problems tonight. So, folks, we're not alone, so just bear with us, be patient. We're just glad to be here and glad that we're on the air, and hope you're happy to have us.
We're happy to be here. I mean that in all sincerity. I am very pleased to be able to be up here doing this ball game. I would not have suspected, to be very honest with you, Norm, looking before the year ever started. Of course, I came in without much knowledge of the Tri-City area football, except that the Bombers I knew had done well, and Pasco had done well last year, if I remember correctly, and I looked at the records as we started to prepare for the football season. I looked at Kamaiak and Kennewick High records. Who would have thought in August, when we were planning this thing out, that we'd be sitting up here in the playoffs with Kennewick? I would not have suspected
after
that.
What happened last year. Of course, we got caught kind of behind the eight ball last year, and Kennewick played an excellent season, the best season that they've ever had in high school football, and the anticipation was, as they came out of that season, being that they did not lose that many starting players, that they would be a contender this year. Kamaiak, of course, I think was a Cinderella team this year. They were not as big as Kennewick, they were not as quick as Kennewick, but with the two fine coaches, and we might, add just a little bit about the generation difference. We've got a young coach in Dan Purple. We've got a senior coach in Ed Troxel.
College experience.
And these guys have put together some great high school football teams, and it's going to be a rip-roaring season next year. I'm looking forward to it, and the game tonight's going to be exceptional. And they're just about ready to kick that football.
Hallelujah. They did get the banks of lights. The secondary banks of lights have come on. It makes a lot of difference in how well we're able to see what's happening down on the field, I'll tell you. Okay, Joey Christensen will kick off for Kennewick.